Good evening. It's 7 o'clock and we've got a quorum with all supervisors here. So we'll go ahead and get started. First, sorry, it sounds really loud back on me. First on the agenda tonight is our invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. God, thank you for allowing us all to travel here safely tonight. Please be with all residents of the county, whether they're home or traveling tonight. We've got a lot of sports, games, and activities for the summer, and we ask for your blessing on all of our citizens as they travel and enjoy the summer activities. Please be with those members of the board tonight. Help us to make wise, sound judgment and do what's in the best interest of the citizens of Amelia. And we ask for your blessing as all of us travel back home this evening. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, before we proceed further with the agenda, do we have any adjustments for this evening?
Chairman, yeah, we need to add landfill advisory committee to the committee appointments and remove an ordinance that was not advertised, so we can't vote on it tonight.
Right, the ordinance we're removing is the changes to the vehicle decals, as that still hasn't been advertised.
Right.
And that's been, should be advertised in July and moved to our July meeting. All right, and we'll make sure we add that to the committee appointment section as well. Any other changes?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Parks and Recs wants to present their feasibility study tonight, and it has to do with some land, not really purchasing land, but actually talking about what they need. Either we can put it in open or we can do that in closed session.
The only portion that I've heard that will be discussed, I can't determine that it qualifies for closed. If you want to have an offline discussion with Jeff to confirm the placement, that's fine. While they're discussing any other changes for this evening?
We can do it in open, and if it's, something gets
Okay.
different. But I would ask that we move it to the end of the
It's
meeting, because
Okay,
the lady who was going to do it wasn't going to be here to the end.
that's fine. Just making a note. All right, do we have a motion to approve with those adjustments?
So moved.
All those in favor of the adjusted agenda, response sign of aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. We'll move into the consent agenda and the approval of minutes. We should all have our minutes here in the packet. I do have a note that there are a few minor clerical adjustments. Does anyone else have any other items of material change?
I move to approve the minutes as a block, Mr. Chairman,
With the minor
with the
clerical.
minor corrections that
Thank you.
I provided.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor, respond with sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, minutes are approved. And we move on to the financial reports. Does anyone have any discussion, comments, questions on those?
Move the approval as a block, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of approval, respond with sign of aye. Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. And minutes are approved. All right, we've come to the portion of the agenda for public comments, and we welcome anyone who's in the room to come forward, state your name and address. And while we're waiting for anyone to come forward, do we have any email comments? No, and looks like no one's joined us on video. Hold on one second. He's good.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Brown, and I'm a concerned District 3 taxpayer. My address is 8031 South Amelia Avenue. The last time I addressed this board was February 19th, 2020. The Wuhan virus lockdowns happened within the next month, and everything seemed to suddenly go sideways. So where did we leave off back in February of 2020? That's right. Concerned taxpayers had finally convinced the board to not build a new water tower while Big Blue was down for cleaning. Please notice, gentlemen, I just said the board. I didn't say this board, before any one of you lashes out with an indignant huff claiming an aggrieved status. Now fast forward, and lo and behold, 1 year later, we need water. We just can't seem to help it. We have butterfingers when it comes to that darn water. Am I right or am I right? Gentlemen, a lot of details were dragged out into the light of public scrutiny the last time B&B told us we needed a water tower. Big Blue can hold 500,000 gallons, but is only filled to 300,000 gallons. The sanitary district only uses 100,000 gallons per day. But we were told by B&B that we needed a whole nother tower. We'd have ended up with 2 towers to clean on a regular basis. And we'd already neglected cleaning the one we had. That would have been 1 million gallons of capacity for a village that uses 100,000 gallons per day. Who on God's green earth was going to drink the other 900,000 gallons a day? The proposed tower location was also a debacle. The county administrator claimed in a meeting that the tower would be built on public school property. David Whitaker corrected him and said the actual site was on Anderson lumber property. That would have been a mighty big whoopsie. Mr. Scott, you attended that meeting. You can attest to what I've said. Now there's a new proposal to build another new water tower, but this one's different. It will be in Winterham North. Why isn't it going on Anderson lumber, public school property? Wasn't that such a well thought out location by B&B just a scant 2 years ago? Do the Winterham residents know what's coming? Do they know there's going to be one more monthly bill arriving in their mail each month? I see that the new proposed location is different. The proposed customer base is different. The proposed purpose is even different. But in my opinion, I see that B&B Construction is, just like before, still coming around telling us of the dire consequences if we don't have them build us a new tower. Who needs this new tower, Amelia or B&B? In my opinion, it seems that B&B is trying to finally hit that big daddy payday they were so ruthlessly denied almost 2 years ago. Gentlemen, ask yourself, who stands to gain from this new proposed tower? Will it be the average taxpayers of Winterham and 360 East? Do you think they will ever pay enough in water bills to justify such an expenditure? Thank you.
Any other public comments this evening? All right, with that, we'll close the public comment portion and move forward to the next section of the agenda. And we do have the Virginia Department of Transportation monthly status report, and I see Ms. Worley has joined us on video.
evening.
Hello.
I just have a couple updates from the report that was provided in advance of this meeting. Two things. So our contract mowing for our secondary routes in Amelia began on Monday, and that contractor has 30 days to complete the full cycle of all second Amelia County. So that'll be done over the next month. I have a number of traffic requests listed here. I've been in communication with several of you individually about some of these. So these are underway. I'll be following up with you as we come to resolutions on these items that are listed here in the report. And then the final that I want to add to the report is that we were notified yesterday by Lynchburg District that they will need to close a section of Route 621 in Cumberland County between Route 13 and the Amelia County line for a large culvert replacement, and begin 12 and is expected to be completed about a month later in mid-August, with the detour route being routed into Amelia County. And just to clarify, that is to be completed prior to the bridge replacement at the Amelia County line on Route 621, which is scheduled to begin in the fall, which I think I said that after last week. And I will certainly get this information about that detour that Lynchburg District has planned over the county office, and I believe Lynchburg District has also advertised it to the public as well. So with that, are there any questions for me or things that need clarification on the report?
Hey, Rebecca, to save you some work, I feel really loud too. Lynchburg already sent it over and we already shared it and posted it on our website. So unless you want to share
Great.
it again, we have circulated that.
Great, thank you, I appreciate that.
Becca, do you have any further update on the speed study on 60 or?
Yeah, so the current speed study that we have for that section, that 55 mile per hour section of 360, does justify the existing speed limit. I'm get the work zone speed limit as you requested, which there is no reduction in the speed limit. We just have it posted as an advisory, 45 miles per hour during in that section of 360 where the bridge replacement is taking place. Our traffic engineering group has indicated in terms of 55 mile per hour speed limit, not just the work zone area, they can perform a new speed study, but wouldn't be able to after in that area because any data that they collected now would be skewed by the construction traffic. So that wouldn't take place until June of next year, is currently when the construction of that bridge is scheduled to be completed. But we could look at that again a year from now once traffic on that corridor is for more normal conditions.
So are we as a county, a board of supervisors of the county, not authorized to, I don't want to use the word demand, but request that we just lower it to 45 if it was the pleasure of the board?
Yes. So in order for us to post a speed, or in order for us to post a different speed limit, we do have to have an engineered study that justifies that. You're certainly welcome to write a letter, pass a resolution requesting an additional speed study, but it has kind of been the practice and the policy to by the numbers in the study that we have, the speed study that we have. So like I said, the one that was most recently performed, which I think was 2019, justified the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit, but we can do that study again and if the board would like us to revisit.
So from here to South Boston, the 4 or 5 areas that are lowered to 45, were they under different rules at the time that was done? Because they're nowhere near as congested as our section, and it reduces to 45 in many places.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I could check with Lynchburg and see if I could get the speed studies for those sections to see. I believe when I looked at it briefly, there's some geometric differences too, where the section in Amelia County is more of a straight shot with minimal curvature, where I believe the sections in the South Boston area had more curvature that might have contributed to the lower speed in those areas. But I can check with Lynchburg District and see if they've got those studies available.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, while we're on VDOT, I'd like to briefly talk about the rural rustic projects. Ms. Worley sent us all the info on the vehicle use per day on the dirt roads that we talked about in our workshop last week. And I appreciate you typing it out and putting this in an order for us. I know we briefly discussed it last week, and I do agree that I think we should prioritize these projects based on vehicles per day, especially if you're looking at paving from a safety aspect. And that being said, I don't know if we need a motion or how that'll work, but I think we should add Folks Bridge next, followed by Bunker Hill. And based on the money, I think those two will fall into the 6-year plan and the amount of money we've already been allocated as well. I know we need to advertise for those, so do we need a motion to start that process or? So
a public hearing, you do have to pass a resolution to accept the secondary 6-year plan. So if that's the proposal of the 2 projects that you want to prioritize, I can certainly draft up a new secondary 6-year plan showing those funded projects. And then Amelia County would need to advertise a public hearing 10 days in advance and post it at the courthouse for 2 consecutive weeks. And so, and then that could be at your next board meeting, just hold a public hearing and adopt that secondary 6-year plan.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I mean, unless anybody else has any input, I mean, those are my suggestions for.
Mr. Chairman, I do have some discussion on that. I still like to see Zelma Road completed. It's kind of the dead end side of it. The other side was completed several years ago. And actually living in that area, Stony Point was also on the list. But the truck traffic and the traffic that comes there, when they do pave, they pave over the dirt. I don't know, it's called something. I don't know what the process is called, but it really doesn't last. And it actually causes more work on VDOT to come patch when they do that surface treatment, I think it's called. I know it does a lot of traffic on Folks Bridge, but they're getting ready to shut it down to do the bridge next year. And I think it's a waste of money to do it because it's going to cost more money to keep it up once you pave it. But I think money would be spent on Zelma because it is some houses on there.
Well, from Ms. Worley's standpoint, Folks Bridge, the VDOT would save money by paving it. That email she sent us.
Yeah, I disagree with that because I drive it quite often and it gets real bad.
They pay the bills, but.
Okay, I mean, I see that, but
that was one of her recommended roads on that list, but. I mean, the only thing we were looking at is just when you look at the vehicles per day count, you know, you're not benefiting very many citizens. 239 vehicles a day versus 42.
I see the numbers, but I don't know how many of those folks are actually citizens of Amelia, where we know Zelma Road has citizens on the road. That's just my opinion.
So Ms. Worley has explained to us the process for advertising. Would either of you like to make a motion for what we would like to then proceed forward with on the advertisement?
I like to make a motion, we do Zelma and the Bunker Hill Road. Not Folks Bridge.
We've got a motion. Any discussion? All those in favor respond with sign of aye. Any opposed, same sign? Aye. Aye. Couldn't hear what you're.
I'm in favor of the motion.
All right, so I think that was 3. So the motion passes.
There's 2,
Oh, all right, we're gonna have to do this. I can't hear.
Frank and David.
Okay, sorry. Let me just make sure I heard correctly then. In favor of the motion, Frank, David. Okay. All right, motion does not pass. Thank you. I could not hear very well.
Mr. Chairman, we already have a road on for this year, and we already have a 6-year plan. There's just, we need to add to it. We can take county input if you want to. I mean, it's not like it has to be done. I like to get things done and get them out of the way. But if any of these citizens would like to put their input in on it as well. Like I think I mentioned in the last meeting, the only citizens I've heard from, their roads being paved this year. So nobody else has even complained about the dirt.
I'm hearing, however, that there's a process already established of how to get this done. Yes, based upon what I'm hearing is that we just need to follow that process. And
Yes, I think that's right. If I understand correctly, we still, though, the need to say which ones to put through the process. Is that?
that's exactly right. And
Does Frank have a mic on? Do you have a microphone? I can't hear you down there.
He said he can't hear you.
Excuse me. Can you hear me?
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, sorry about that. No, as I indicated, the process is already set up and which involves, shows you, how to get this accomplished. And I think if we get the process started, it'll run its course pretty quick, should.
Thank you.
All right, well, Mr. Chairman, I guess I'll make a motion that we proceed with Folks Bridge and West Bunker Hill, and we still have to advertise and can definitely, accept county input before we have that final vote for the resolution anyway.
All right. Got a motion for prioritizing Folks Bridge first, followed by Bunker Hill, West Bunker Hill. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, respond with sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign.
Uh,
All right, motion passes. Thank you. Anything else from Ms. Worley or VDOT related? All right, we'll move along with the agenda. Thank you, Ms. Worley. And
Thank you.
Next is the Amelia County School Board.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Harvey. So we have closed out the school year for students, but certainly not for our administrative staff. We're already into our summer school. In May, our K-12 enrollment was 1563 and our ADM was 1562. In other news with the school division, we have hired Ms. Lisa Davis to serve as the principal of Amelia County Elementary School. Mrs. Davis received her bachelor's degree in elementary education from Longwood University and her master's in administration and supervision from the University of Virginia. Mrs. Davis has 20 years of experience at the elementary level where she taught kindergarten, first and second grade and served as a technology teacher and coach. She taught in both Lynchburg City Schools and Chesterfield County. She has spent 4 years as an assistant principal at Grange Hall Elementary and most recently spent the last 2 years serving as the associate principal at Marguerite Christian Elementary School, a Title I school in Chesterfield County. Mrs. Davis will be joining us on July 1st. During our June school board meeting, 3 teachers were recognized as Teachers of the Year for their school. The elementary teacher of the year was Ms. Stacy Byer, the middle school teacher of the year, Ms. Danielle Wilson, and the high school teacher of the year, Ms. Letty Jackson James. A committee of retired teachers selected Mrs. Stacy Byer as the Amelia County Public Schools Teacher of the Year. You have in your packet our financial reports for the month of May. Our revenues and expenditures are at 76%. The expected level of revenues and expenditures for this time of year would be 92%. As we wrap up the federal grants and expenditures, we're expecting a possible carryover of approximately $500,000 or 2.3% of our total budget. We are also asking the board this evening to approve a resolution to carry over these unexpended funds from the current school year. You know, we've had a lot of conversation about that, but I don't believe the board has taken any action as of yet. So we do ask that this evening. We also have a CIP request, and to address that is Mr. Bo Lynch, our Director of Operations.
Good evening. I come before you this evening to request additional funding needed for a division-wide site study for Amelia County Public Schools. Currently, there is a track and soccer field study already approved in CIP and a division study requested in the upcoming year. We have gone through the RFP process and selected Mosley Architects. We have asked them to produce an estimate for performing this. The proposed fee for this study came in at $119,838. The study will include items such as lighting, electrical, roofing, HVAC, sidewalk, pavement, cafeteria, food service, age of all of our equipment, code violations, ADA compliance, athletic options, and development. Report will be made with photographs and a list of deferred maintenance items for the upcoming years. We are asking the board to appropriate an additional $44,838 to move forward on this project.
Any questions? Mr. Chairman? Is this study looking only at renovating and correcting errors with the current schools, or is it also looking at need for new schools?
The study would look at our current facilities and assess them.
Only.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that a change from original? I thought the original intent was look at everything we have, buildings and sports, that was the combination, and then determine best path forward, whether that could be extending life, adding to a building, renovating, or building. Is that a change, or was it my misunderstanding from before?
So we wanted them to come in and take a look at all of our facilities and then make recommendations as to whether or not we needed any upgrades, renovations, new buildings, whatever it is, because there's been no assessment of the current status of the facilities in the school division. So we're really looking more to them to make recommendations on what we should be looking at moving forward and how to prioritize those needs.
Okay, so that's not the way I heard it the first time. So it is a possible outcome of this study could be a recommendation that new schools are needed.
If Mosley feels that that is in the best interest of Amelia,
Yes,
that's
I would
my
feel-
understanding.
yes.
Okay, and we approved 75,000 in this year's CIP. And what did you say the new estimate is? I'm sorry.
44.
119,838.
Mr. Chairman, I believe we discussed, this is actually combining a future study, right? Is what they're doing. So this is actually a CIP for what, next year, or the year after, and they're putting the two together to save money. That's what we talked about in our workshops.
Yeah,
So that's what they're doing. They're just combining
They
them
just combine.
together.
all right. Does anyone want to make a motion to proceed one way or another with that tonight, or to take it under advisement for future meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve it. I know, like I said, I know it's cost effective, when we discussed it before. And just combining the two and looking at the sports facilities as well as the buildings all in one versus separating them. So I don't have any problem with that.
All right, we've got
Is that a motion?
Yes.
to be clear, motion to approve additional funds for the
Yes.
total 119,838. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, respond by sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes. We'll adjust the CIP. And you've got, I know, we haven't forgotten your earlier request. Yep. We've got a request as well for, sorry, just making sure I got my right paperwork. We got the request to formalize the carryover funds as well.
Do you have a copy of that resolution? I don't.
It was emailed from Brenda. Oh, you're talking about for
I
the
got it.
carryover.
I got two documents from Brenda, but I don't see a resolution. Look.
While we're
Part of it
looking,
anyway.
do you mind just recapping that one for all of us?
Yes. So the resolution is to reappropriate unexpended funds from the FY '21, that's the current school year, for one-time school operating expenditures. And it asks, whereas the school board has requested that an unexpended local funding in FY '21 be carried forward to FY '22 for the school operating budget. And whereas the school board maintains a list of one-time expenditure needs, now therefore be it resolved that the Amelia Board of Supervisors on this date that the county administrator be authorized to budget and appropriate unexpended school division funds from FY '21 to FY '22 upon receipt of the final FY '21 audit.
Thank you. I think everyone's been able to find it in the meantime. Appreciate it.
If I may say so, sir. In having this information at this time, because it takes several months for the audit to be finalized, we could go ahead and start looking at some of those needs. If we have to wait until December or January, then it becomes very challenging if anything has to go out for bid or get multiple quotes. And so sometimes that's the challenge that we fall into in being able to handle some of those needed projects, which is why we're asking for it at this time.
I move to approve the
That makes sense.
resolution for carryover funds this year to next year.
That makes sense.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to add, I really appreciate Dr. Harper and Carly taking the time, Ms. Bullock, to provide us with the expenditure needs list. I mean, I think that you've been very diligent to show us both the true needs. The items on that list are not like wish list items, they're true needs. And I appreciate you to creating that as well as keeping us up to date on what you have been able to do so far. I mean, I think it shows, very good fiscal conservativeness and both saving money and using the money towards things that have been actually, I would say, ignored for several years for whatever reasons. So I appreciate that as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We believe very strongly in fiscal integrity and in transparency. So we look at what is needed and try to prioritize that and then spend the funds accordingly. So we're happy at any time to share how those funds are spent.
Thank you. Any further question or discussion? We do have a motion on the floor.
Call for the question.
All those in favor respond with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank
Motion
you.
approved. All right, we are at the Board of Supervisors Committee and Activity Reports section. We'll go in our normal order by division. District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was a pretty slow month. Last of May, we met on the Planning Commission. June 9th, had a meeting with the organizer of Field Days of the Past to get all of his permits that he needed in line. He's working on that now. Had an informational meeting on the radio system for the county. Kind of put things into light more that we can understand exactly what we're looking at. Last week, we had a meeting with the Parks and Recs. They've got a final plan for their feasibility study for the future sports complex. We should hear more about that tonight. Today, had the Piedmont Regional Jail meeting. We're up to 66 residents, which is a little high from last month, but we're still midline of the other counties there. That was it.
Thank you. District 2.
Yes, I attended a meeting for a new floodplain ordinance. Took an afternoon and went and looked at the Hindle Bell, the bell that has been partially restored for some money that was collected years ago for restoration of it. It's partially finished. It's not quite finished yet, but working to try to get that finished. I met with one candidate for the EDA and another one for the Landfill Advisory Committee. I watched a civic clerk demo video for a couple hours, see how that all works. Attended a school board meeting, an EDA meeting, a board work session, and I spent one afternoon with a few other people cleaning out the Hindle building, making it safe for a tour before our Hindle building meeting, which I also attended. Public input meeting by the consultant we've hired for needs assessment. And then this morning, the CRC meeting.
Thank you. District 3.
I haven't really had any official meetings other than the radio meeting with David. It was very informative. I'm glad I went, but nothing official yet for this month.
For District 4, discussions and learning around both the Civic Plus and Civic Clerk systems. Continued the current supervisor class, which is my next to last class. Several meetings and discussions regarding the EDA, and quite a bit of activity around Crossroads, which will be discussed later portion of the agenda. District 5.
District 5, I attended the community management policy meeting. I've also attended a workshop for the board, of course. And then I had some tobacco commission meetings to attend. Then I had I think that's it.
Thank you all.
Piedmont Senior Resources. I'm sorry. Piedmont Senior Resources. Also attended the meeting.
Thank you all. Move on to the next item is the River Street update regarding Phase 2.
Where is that?
Last month.
This is the version I printed from the website today.
Okay, well, I can, there was no River Street update meeting today. We've had a resignation from the project manager, and there was already a guy in place ready to transition and move in. His name is Stephen Morris, I believe. He wanted a week or so to catch up on things. The tower has been ordered in Manborough. The contractor has been selected. It seems like these agreements are going to never end, the development of them. Every time somebody says it's ready to go, it's got a modification coming. The last email we had said that the final signed versions are in the mail or will be in the mail to me. And when they get here, I will sign them and have them recorded. So that's a pretty good sign, and they're hard at doing the higher level studies for placing a new tower for phase 2, trying to drill down into the weeds a little bit about how much coverage they're going to get at certain spots. The last meeting we had, the last Tuesday meeting, I think they said there were 3 new services hooked up in Amelia. They were trying to do 12 to 15, it sounded like, a week. They'd had a little bit of trouble in Dinwiddie with a certain area they were trying to hit really hard. So they hadn't made as much coverage as they were anticipating, but it's they're moving along.
So only 3 new services connected? Is that?
That was that 1 week, had connections made. And Mr. Scott might have heard something else, but that's.
Since then.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, we'll move to the planning and zoning section. And we've got a public hearing on rezoning. Ms. Steele, you want to give us an intro on that? Thank you.
Yes, so this is a conditional rezoning. The applicant is Nibbs Creek Properties Incorporated, and they're requesting the conditional rezoning of 33.5 acres from RR3 to R10 residential. They're hoping to cut it into 3 lots, and in RR3, you cannot do that. So it would be 2 10-ish acre lots and then a 13-acre lot. And this went to the Planning Commission at the May meeting where they had a public hearing. No neighbors came out for or against the project, and the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of this project. And if you have any additional questions about it, Mr. Rogerville is here and can speak to it.
And we do need the public hearing because that was not a joint one, correct?
Correct. Yep, we need a public hearing.
All right. Any comments or questions from the board before we open the public hearing? All right, we'll open the
Yes.
floor. Sorry, I'm sorry.
I tried to get with you offline, but I haven't had time. On the drawing, it shows lot 36 and 35. Are we talking 2 lots or 1?
No,
Is GIS wrong?
GIS is wrong.
Surprise.
I know that's very surprising. But no, it's just 1 lot. We had talked about this before, but
It says it's owned by Liberty University too, so that's.
it is not.
Okay.
Nibbs Creek Properties is the owner of the property.
All right, we'll open the floor. We'll open the public hearing, and any citizens are welcome to come forward. While we wait, do we have any email comments regarding this? No, and no one joined via video. Thank you. If you just state your name and address as you begin.
Russ Moore, 9720 Coleman Drive. I live down in the Manborough area. I just want to speak in favor of the, excuse me, these lots being approved. Not only these lots, but we are in a dire need of building lots in Amelia County. The people who live here, builders who live here and try to build here, desperate for lots right now. Decent building lots are very hard to find. Some of the students that are graduating from high school and college want to stay here in the county can't locate here because they can't find a place to build. So it behoove you to go forward with allowing these two lots. And they're in a great area with good sight distance for the VDOT entrances and everything. So and it's in a mixed area to where there's other houses that are very similar in the area. So it wouldn't be much impact on the county as far as traffic or anything. A good increase in the tax base. Much.
Thank you. Any other members of the public for comment? And with that, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you. Board members, do we have any motion or additional questions?
Holly, can you make sure that that gets added to the list that we have going for GIS errors?
Yes.
The folks that build there, they do know it's right beside a rock quarry. I'm assuming they will know that when they purchase and build a house there.
We have a motion, perhaps would like to proceed.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, based on the Planning Commission's recommendations, I make a motion, we approve.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion to approve, respond with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. The motion approved.
Okay, so next up is a special event permit for an old-fashioned county fair. We touched on this a little bit at last month's meeting, but the Amelia County Fair Committee has applied for a special event permit to hold the fair on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, which is August 5th, 6th, and 7th. Thursday and Friday, the event would be held 6 to 10, and on Saturday, it would be noon to 10. There's not going to be any rides at this event. They weren't able to get things worked out with Midway, I guess, or they're not doing rides this year. And admission will be free. So we also have Eugene Poe here. He is the chair of the Amelia County Fair Committee, if you have any questions for him.
Any questions from members of the board? We have a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, got a motion to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor respond with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion's approved. Thank you.
Last thing is just an update on Virginia's Crossroads. This is not to be confused with Crossroads. This is an entirely separate thing. But we haven't had an update on this group in a while, and it might be the first update some of the newer board members have ever had. But this group was formerly known as Virginia's Retreat. You might see the signs up throughout the county, but they now are Virginia's Crossroads. The group is comprised of 11 counties, including Amelia. This is one of those groups that we pay an annual membership fee to, but it's not always clear what the county is getting back from it. So we have bi-monthly meetings. We're meeting back in person again. So at some point this year, they will be coming to Amelia. But what Virginia's Crossroads does is they organize and oversee the CREEP Trail, which is the Civil Rights Education and Heritage Trail. We have 2 sites on that, which is the Russell Grove School and Church, Presbyterian School and Church, and Mrs. Samantha Jane Neal. Those are our 2 sites on the trail. They also put out ads to promote tourism, specifically within Amelia and the other counties. This summer, they will be advertising in Our State, which is the North Carolina State Magazine, and they'll list specific events that are happening in Amelia County. So the fair, Amelia Day, all those kind of things will be going out, and it's no additional cost to us beyond our annual membership. So I just wanted to give you all that update of where our money for Virginia's Crossroads is going. That's all I had.
Thank you. Any other questions? What happened to the The item for rezoning that the Planning Commission recommended not approving recently.
Yes, so that was actually withdrawn. So I'm still waiting on their formal letter. It was over a phone call. They withdrew it. They heard the opposition loud and clear and didn't want to proceed with it.
Okay.
So yes, that rezoning has been withdrawn.
Thank you.
Permanently.
Permanent,
They're not coming back. As far as you know.
as far as I know.
Okay.
All right, we'll move into the old and new business. Thank you. And the first item is committee appointments. And I think from my list, I think we have three committees to work through: Landfill Advisory, the EDA, and the CLEO. We're going to start with Landfill Advisory Committee.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Don Garrett for the Landfill Advisory Committee for District 2. Sent y'all a little bio on him and didn't hear any negative feedback, so.
All right, is that a motion
Yes.
requesting approval?
Yep. Nomination.
All right. I think you've got a motion. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving Don Garrett for the Landfill Advisory Committee, respond with sign of aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, do you want to tackle the CLEO one next?
I don't have any for clue.
Oh, I thought.
That's one staff has been looking for, and we've not found any takers. Not found a single, we're looking for serious business people, not just somebody that will agree.
It's not really CLEO, it's the
I-
Workforce Development Board.
Would either of you like to do a brief publicity moment for it, which will likely make it in the paper so we can solicit some what it is?
I think Mr. Scott might know more than I do. I've never been to one.
Yeah, it's a very well-run organization, actually, and there's not a whole lot of things that the business representatives have to do. It's required that they have certain numbers of each type of member, business, educational institutions. There's a long list of makeup that this board has to be. And for anyone who might be interested in it, it's not a large amount of time that you have to put into it. I think that's important to a lot of people who might be interested, might be not interested because they're afraid it's a lot of work. There's subcommittees that you can or cannot, may or may not volunteer for. I'm on a couple of those, so that takes a little more time, but generally it's once a month and it's at, what's the name of that motel out there? Shelton's Motel at 9 o'clock. And it's a good bunch of people and they're doing good work trying to get people employed, unemployed people jobs.
And the key criteria is that it must be a business.
It has to
owner.
be what they're looking for is a business representative. I'm on it right now, but I count as two because I'm a business representative and also an elected official, but they need business representatives.
All right, thank you. We'll continue looking for a representative.
Mr. Chairman, just to
Yes.
add a question to Roger. Don Garrett, he's getting off of it?
Yes.
Okay.
He's served on it for a few years now and he's ready to try something else.
Okay.
All right, and that leaves us with the EDA. I believe each of you have a nomination.
I can. Mr. Chairman, I nominated Bob Smith, lives in District 1. I know it's at large, but it's just where he lives. I sent y'all his bio. He has a pretty extensive history. He seems very knowledgeable and very interesting. I'd like to appoint him to the EDA.
I think we'll take that as a motion for the nomination. Any discussion or questions?
Yeah, I'd just like to say I met with him for quite a while and I'm very impressed and I think he'll make a good member.
Thank you. All those in favor of approval, respond with sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? All right. You've got a.
Yes, for one of the other positions, I would like to renominate Carly Bullock. I tried last month, but Since then, I've sent you all her bio, and again, I haven't heard any negative feedback, only positive. So I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Carly Bullock for the EDA.
All right, thank you. Any questions or discussion on the motion? All those in favor, respond with sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. I believe that's all the committee appointments for this evening. Did I miss any? All right, Crossroads Community Services Board. So I've briefed you on that board a couple times in the last few months. Talked about a number of challenges that Crossroads is going through. And then we had the director come and give a presentation earlier this year. Later, she was removed from Crossroads. There is currently an interim director in place who I will say is doing, I think, a very good job and is getting great feedback. The official search for a permanent replacement director has begun with a search firm hired to facilitate that process. Unfortunately, the Crossroads board itself remains rather challenging. You may recall there's 7 counties involved and 14 members. 7 of those are a board of supervisors member from each county, and then 1 citizen member from each county. At the last meeting, I'm extremely convinced that in the closed session of the meeting, that several things were discussed that were not appropriate for closed session. We had multiple members of the Crossroads board not certify that the discussion met the criteria for a closed session. And in general, the board just continues to be quite disorganized and poorly run. There's several counties, and I'm going to ask for a motion in a moment. Several counties are moving forward with moving to a quarterly funding process. So that would be for our upcoming fiscal year 22, rather than sending Crossroads all of their money at once, to break the money down into quarters, and then for the Board of Supervisors to review and approve that expenditure each time, trying to incentivize Crossroads to kind of pull things together a bit more. The other thing, I'll make the motion in a second. There's 2 motions I want to make. The other one is then there are actually several counties also that are, where their Board of Supervisors are looking at and making resolutions to request that Crossroads do a full forensic audit for the last 3 fiscal years, including the 21 that's about to close out. Crossroads already spends about $50,000 per year on an audit. All of their audits have passed, and their audits are done by independent accounting firms as well as overseen by the state. There have been no material deficiencies or issues brought up at all. The couple counties that are requesting that, they have been advised that the cost for the forensics audit is going to be over $100,000. And then the counties who are not requesting it, including me as a representative for Amelia, do not believe that's a good use of Crossroads funds. Crossroads is already underfunded. The official report from the state of Virginia just listed Crossroads as the most underfunded CSB in the state. And I believe it would be a poor use of the funds to take them from the citizens of those 7 counties and instead spend them on replicating audits. So I'm happy to entertain any questions, and then I'll make motions to those 2 that I mentioned.
Do they have a finance director and a finance committee?
They have a finance director. The finance committee of the board has been inactive for the last year because the chairman did not form it. And the bylaws say the chairman has to form it. And that is one of the many deficiencies of the chairman. She did form it last month, and the Finance Committee of the board has now met one time. So there is some hope of that portion improving.
I would think if they have a finance committee that's made up of good members, they could get a lot, could do a lot for no money rather than pay 1,000 for a forensic audit.
I certainly agree with you. Any other comments or questions? All right, so I'm going to make the first motion is to move our funding of Crossroads to quarterly and prior to each quarterly distribution for it to come to a discussion and vote by the Board of Supervisors members. Any questions on that motion?
Quarterly is better than no funding at all.
Correct. I'm hoping
Give you a
we
chance.
get a fund.
Give me a chance to see what other remedies are available to, and be interested also to determine just how many of our citizens in our county, for example, utilize those services. So I'm glad you're not taking it away completely. This gives you a chance to do an overall ongoing evaluation of what's happening.
Absolutely. And I wish I could remember, Mr. Harris. I apologize. When the director was here earlier this year, she did state the number of Amelia citizens. It was pretty substantial. And I agree with you. I definitely want to see their services continue. Yeah, the counties as a whole make up less than 10% of the total funding. And Amelia's, of course, it's actually less than a seventh of that because Prince Edward has the most citizens involved. And again, yeah, I'm not suggesting not to just, let's try to dole it out a little more slowly to encourage some improvements.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I don't remember from the budget. Do you remember what that figure is? Well, roundabout?
Can't see it.
Did, and I want to say it was, it's in the 50,000.
Somewhere.
Maybe a little more than that, maybe 60.
69.
69, thank you.
Yeah, I think, barely see it, but I'm pretty sure it's 69.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Services Board.
All right, so unless there's any other questions, I'll ask for a vote. And all those in favor of the motion, response sign of aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, and the second one regarding the forensic audit, what the motion I would like to request is that we encourage that no money from Crossroads be spent on the forensic audit, and that any counties that are requesting the audit then pay for the audit themselves. Is that clear? Does anyone have questions on that?
Do we need a vote for that, or can you just?
Well,
that
it's
as
kind of
our
like their
representative?
resolutions they're making for it. It's a request. I was just stating our perspective on it. Just officially getting the board perspective. All those in favor, response sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, thank you all, appreciate it. And we're rolling right along. We'll move to the circuit court renovation proposal.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, that is tab number 9 in your book. This is the proposal that Hurt and Profit came up with after having toured the building space with the clerk of the circuit court, at least one of the judges, and some of the public works department. They have come up with a proposal to do the work, including all the tasks that they've got listed on the, I guess it's the 4th page. Pre-design, schematic design, development, construction documents, bidding, as well as construction administration. And it's $54,900. And the timeline is a total of 31 weeks. So I brought this to you. I asked the courts to take a look at it, and I've gotten nothing in writing back, but I have heard that they thought it was encompassing what they were looking for. So I ask your, I'll wait your instruction. I'll be glad to sign it and get them on the road, or if there's some changes to be made, I'd be glad to communicate those.
Is there any estimate yet as to the total construction cost, or is this all we have at this point?
This is all we've got at this point. We had budgeted around or we had talked about $500,000, but that was very, very basic information.
Yeah, and that's what we did include in our CIP. I think was the 500,000 as well. So do you anticipate this 50, almost 55,000, that would be a part of that, or and then there's the construction cost? I guess we really just don't know whether that would exceed the 500,000 total or not.
That's correct. But this usually comes out of a project. So if you're coming up with a total cost for the project, this would all be in there.
And actually, I'm checking my numbers. We might have actually changed that to 400,000. Either way, we're not requesting to go over that at this point. So, right. And so when they complete this work, I guess when they get to past 13 to 16 on here, somewhere along that point, they'll come back to us with the actual estimate for the construction itself.
That's
They'll have
correct.
the bids back. Okay.
That's right. The board will have to approve whether to move forward or not and request any adjustments that might thought to be needed.
And it looks, if I'm reading correctly, the 31 weeks includes the construction period, assuming we approve that as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
19 weeks till we get to bidding.
Yeah, it's actually not too bad, was it? Okay. Great. Thank you. Any questions?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman. I've looked at several of these, and this was probably the best one I've seen, the way it's laid out and the timeline. Pretty impressed. I move we go on and get it. We've proceed with it. We've got to build it. We've got to do something with it.
All right, we've got a motion. Any questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion to proceed, response sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, move into the county administrator's report.
I can do that, or is anybody waiting for this Parks and Rec report that you wanted to have at the end?
I think she's not here yet, but I just
Okay,
told her she had about 15 minutes.
okay, all right. But then if you want the county administrator's report under tab number 10, you'll see that the waste management host fee for the month is $285,459. That seems to be a very stable figure over the past probably a year now. The Commonwealth Regional Council submitted their items of interest for May. And I'll also point out that looks like they've got a traveling road show for their meetings. And they met in the county administrator's office today. They're very complimentary about the electronics in there. That we had representatives from Nottoway and Lunenburg inside, and they're very complimentary about the way the system
The
works.
sound quality was great because I was remote and I could hear everybody perfectly.
Well,
It's a good system.
the microphone that usually goes out to the middle of the table, we left it right there where the keyboard is. Didn't even pull it out and put it in the middle of the room. So that worked out well. DMV Select, there are two reports here. One of them is, first report was that we had 733 transactions in April. And the second report was we've collected a total of $696,000 for the state. And we were paid $3,191 this past month, for a total of $29,131 for the fiscal year. And Martin Marietta has informed us of a $1 per ton price increase. That's on everything except for the base stone and fine products, which only rose 50 cents a ton. Then Columbia Gas of Virginia has submitted a request, I guess, to the Corporation Commission. They want to extend as well as amend some of their efficiency programs, home energy report program, as well as 3 current conservation and energy efficiency programs. It's like they're claiming they've got 29 measures to help with conservation. This goes in front of the State Corporation Commission for comment and I guess discussion and then approval or disapproval.
Do we even have Columbia Gas in Amelia?
We don't have any natural gas. I don't know if they provide propane or not.
I think people are eligible for their conservation programs, even if they don't have, that's the way I read it, but it's very relevant.
Mhm. And then we've got a letter note from email from Carla on supplemental appropriations for the month. It was $272.11. That was a reimbursement from the county of Bedford for a training that one of their deputies came to. And then there was a refund it says reimbursement from a vendor of $309.23. And that was the last page. Paid of the order. Oh, that's, I'm sorry, that's for the James L. Hamner Public Library. That's not the sheriff's office, but that was reimbursement from Recorded Books Incorporated. And that's the last of the items in the county administrator's report.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions or topics for Mr. Harvey? All right, let's go ahead and do our supervisor's comment period, and that'll keep us going for a little bit here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have a lot, but I've been involved in the fair committee, and I've been involved in the field day of the past. Could be called a committee. The community support, they don't really need us for anything. They got enough people. You'd be surprised how much they turn out, how involved they are. I just want to commend them for their involvement in both committees. Thank you, sir.
You two,
Comments?
three.
Only the governor's executive orders on all of the COVID stuff expire at the end of this month. I don't know what we have to do with it, but I sure would love to see our DMV July 1st go back to normal. As myself being a recent victim of 4 weeks just to get, go to my local DMV to get a title to a trailer. So, I mean, as far as I know, when that goes away, I guess we can request or ask them to go back to normal. Other than that, I mean, I agree with David on the community. We have a strong community, and a lot of the events and stuff that we can all take part in and enjoy is because of the good support and volunteers in the community that make things happen.
Thank you. For me, I just realized that we neglected to really comment on the schools. So I want to congratulate them on hiring of the new principal. It's good to see that really early in the summer so that she'll have time to acclimate prior to the fall school semester starting, so school year starting. And congratulations to all three teachers of the year for the individual schools, as well as teacher of the year for the district as well. That's all for me.
I think that I would just like to say that I think that all of our volunteers, people who serve on these committees and so forth, need to be complimented for becoming involved. I know that we have our own way of wanting to get things done, and a lot of times we turn a deaf ear to comments that come in from persons who volunteer, and they're volunteering of their time, and they don't get paid for it like we do get a stipend. They don't get anything, and that takes me back to I know the people who go out of their way to do things, to volunteer. It's a tedious thing. My parents always taught me to become involved in the area in which I live, and that's how I became involved. And I think about, and it bothers me about the EDA when we have people who want to participate, and we have our own image of a mold that we think should person the qualifications and so forth. And I've always said that I know some folk who don't have a big resume, but they've done more for this county than most of us will ever do. Boy, I think that one of the things that we have a tendency to do, or that happened with the EDA, is that definition or the structure of the mission changed, went from an IDA to an EDA. And I'm thinking of the young lady that was nominated by me. She's very eager and wants to participate, but we did not. I would like to reappoint her to that committee because she has indicated a desire to, now that she has a pretty good idea as to what the role of the EDA is, that she would like an opportunity to participate. My comments.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. All right, I believe we have a need for a closed session. We can go ahead and do our closed session, and then we can come back for the remaining item for the Parks and Rec discussion. That'll work out fine.
Do we need to do anything with this, Mr. Chairman?
No, but he was just giving us that for information. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't.
They're all at large. It doesn't.
They're
really
all at
matter.
large.
They're all at large.
None of them are remaining.
Expired. Correct.
That's right, at the end of June.
Correct.
We have one vacancy and
That's correct.
we didn't nominate anyone tonight.
Huh? All right, so do we have a motion to go into?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to go into closed
Yes.
session pursuant to Code of Virginia 2.2-3711A3 for discussion or consideration of acquisition of real property for a public purpose or of the disposition of publicly held property, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position and negotiation strategy of the public body.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, respond with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, and we'll go into closed session.